So, as should be clear from the previous section on calculating unemployment and that problem I had you guys answer at the end, is that discouraged workers will create a problem in measuring unemployment accurately and giving us a good picture of how the economy is doing. So what are these discouraged workers? Well, anyone who withdraws from the job market during recessions because they believe that they're not likely to find a job during that recession. They might go back to school, they might leave the country, they might just go on welfare. There's different things that they can do, but if they're stop searching, they're no longer counted as unemployed. So they're not counted as unemployed because they're not actively searching for a job. And as soon as that happens, we'll take any number that you may have. So any number that you may have, let's say there's one, or rather, let's say there's 2 people unemployed on 10. As soon as you say, well, that's the situation, as soon as there's one unemployed person that leaves the labor force, so he's no longer part of the labor force either, this would fall to a situation of, okay, there's one person unemployed on 9 people. Yeah, he disappears from both sides, but as soon as he does, we're going like from 20% to much less than 20%, just above 10% unemployment rate. So we can see that as people get discouraged, this unemployment rate may underestimate the actual number of people unemployed. Why you don't want an economist to be present? Every single person except Bob the janitor here has dropped out of the labor force. Thus, I'm proud to announce that for the first time in American history, the unemployment rate is 0. Of course, if you have 0 people looking for a job and 1 person with a job, well, you're going to have an unemployment of 0%. The labor force participation rate kind of highlights that idea that of actual amount of people in the labor force in the adult population that are in the labor force, and we could kind of see how things have changed over time. You'd want to look at this through recessions as well, but what's interesting in this figure here is how over time from the 50s to around 2011, the women participation has pretty much doubled or tripled, and the men's participation has been steady or has gone down a little bit. So a lot of entering of women and some men, I guess, staying at home a little bit more or doing other things. So yeah, we're not quite at equality, but not far in terms of labor force participation. If we look at the actual demographics, I'm not sure for which year this is, maybe around 2011 or 15, we can notice that the highest unemployment rate is always going to be in that younger crowd, have more trouble finding a job. And in that younger crowd as well, there's less people there in the labor force, but it just gives you a bit of a breakdown of what's going on in the economy. Problems. There's also additional problems with some people that are declared as unemployed, while unemployed people are not necessarily all trying to find a job. They might just try to get unemployment benefits, so they might be doing something else, such as working under the table and happy to just be extending and using up their benefits as much as they can to receive the unemployment insurance, and they have a job lined up and they're just going to jump on it in an official way when their unemployment insurance benefits run out. So that's another issue of having some people take advantage of the system that skews our unemployment rates to some extent. So we've learned how to calculate unemployment. We've learned the different types of unemployment, and we've seen some of the issues in actually using this unemployment rate as a figure of telling us how the economy is doing. It's still a good figure to use, but there is certain things that you want to look at. So if you're interested in knowing if the economy is doing better, maybe not just looking at the amount of unemployment rate, but also looking at the amount of people holding a job. If you have both of those pieces of information, you have a good idea of how the economy is doing, if it's improving, and whatnot.